All right, here is an answer to your Q. How do I know whether it will support the claim or warrant rejection of the claim? So let's read through the whole problem in a moment, but just to give you an overview, we're given a scenario. We're supposed to put the claim in symbols and the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis, then determine the tails of the test, then determine the conclusion as it relates to the claim if there was sufficient evidence to reject the null hypothesis. And so his question was really about this last part here, but we have to understand the earlier parts in order to be able to really understand why the conclusion should be what it is. So first of all, we should look at some phrases indicating that your claim will be covered by the null hypothesis. Because when your claim is covered by the null hypothesis, if you reject the null hypothesis, then your claim goes with it. Your claim can also be covered by your alternative hypothesis. And if it is covered by your alternative hypothesis, then it is safe from being rejected because we never reject the alternative hypothesis. So it's really about determining where your claim is going to be falling into the null or into the alternative. Okay, and your null hypothesis always uses the equal sign. So if your claim has any equality in it, then it's going to be covered by the null hypothesis. And your alternative hypothesis will have to be the complement of the original claim. However, if there is no equivalence in your claim, it'll become your alternative hypothesis and it'll be safe from getting rejected. So let's look at this example and see what the wording indicates. It says, in a sample of 100, it was found that 34% of internet users paid bills online. We wish to test the claim that the population proportion is at least 31%. So express the claim and the hypotheses in symbolic form for this claim, then answer the questions below. So at least means equal to or greater than, right? And they want to test the claim that it's at least 31%. So then my alternative would be equals to 0.31 because we always use the equal sign. And that equivalence part of my claim means that my claim is contained here in the null hypothesis. So if we reject it, if we find enough evidence to reject it, then we will also be rejecting the claim. My alternative hypothesis is the complement of the original claim. And that's only because my claim fell under the null. If there was no equivalence, then I would not use the opposite direction sign here. I would use the same sign as my claim was, but only if there's no equality, right? Only if it's a greater than or a less than or a not equal to statement in the original claim that I'm testing. So you always look for that sentence that tells you what you're testing for. So we wish to test the claim that the population proportion is at least 31%. That's why it became our null hypothesis, and our alternative is the complement of the claim. So that makes this a left-tailed test, and if we reject the null hypothesis, that would warrant rejection of the claim. Now, as I said, let's just do another scenario. Let's say that this said is greater. Okay, if it just said greater than 31%, then this part of it would be gone, right? So that the equality part is not there anymore. That would mean my claim does not get sucked up into the null hypothesis. It actually falls into the alternative, just like that. So then it would be a right-tailed test. And if I reject my null hypothesis this time, if I find enough evidence to do that, that leaves only the alternative that could be true, right? You're suggesting by rejecting the null hypothesis that it is false, So then that leaves the alternative for you to support. And so in that case, I would change my answer to support the claim.